Hi gang, Rob here. It is the evening of 4 June 2017 and I'm coming to you with a product review tonight from Edgewright Sharpening Systems. Let's see if I can get you a shot of their logo stenciled onto the edge of the unit. This is sort of a one-stop sharpening system for convex edges, and it was developed and is produced by my buddy JD Larrabee, and he is on Facebook as Mojave Man. That's Mojave as in the desert, and then M-A-N-N. And I will furnish all of his contact information in the description of this video, so that if you're interested in one of these sharpening system units, you'll be able to get a hold of him. He contacted me, I guess, 2 or 3 months ago with this idea and an interest in producing it. He knows that I'm sort of into convex sharpening, and I've been doing it on leather with various grits of sandpaper. In fact, I'll show you my old convex sharpening fixture. I'll lay it down next to the Edgewright just so you can see the comparison. I think JD watched some of my convex sharpening and had a better idea, and a better idea it is. So, you know, the first idea out of my head to make a home fixture was just to, you know, cut up an L bracket, put some bolts through a piece of wood, hold them down with wing nuts, and it works quite well. You just stretch a piece of sandpaper over a leather pad that's mounted on my wood, pull it tight, and then, you know, clamp it down. Nothing revolutionary there. Well, it works great, but there's a couple problems. In order to use a standard 9x11 piece of sandpaper and get 3 sheets out of it, I've got 11 inches of length, but gosh, probably 2.5 inches of that is taken up with overhang, and then you're always banging into the wing nuts as you end your stroke. So your effective stroke is probably 8 inches. So any knife over 4 inches, you're making 2 passes to get the whole edge, and it's a little annoying. It works fine, but it's not optimal, okay, for that size sheet of sandpaper. So JD had this thought: what if we first of all replace the leather with a rubber product that's a pretty hard durometer, and then instead of using bolts and clamps, what if we just use a contact adhesive on the sandpaper only, so that it's going to lay flat without having to be stretched and fixtured. I'm going to get that entire 11 inches of potential out of it because I'm not running into anything. I mount that rubber on a piece of wood. There's 2 ways you could secure this to your bench, by the way. These production units are going to come with these black hard rubber feet secured with stainless steel screws on each side. And if you, now that I've flipped it over, you can see this is a 2-sided unit. Flesh side of some 9 to 10 ounce leather with this one is loaded with Stropping black compound. And ingeniously, I don't know if you'll be able to pick this up, but the feet are ever so slightly taller than that leather is thick. So even if you've got a little stuff down on your bench, some abrasive or whatever, you're not going to be banging your leather into it and fouling your strop. So here's how this works. I've actually pre-cut and pre-applied some adhesive. This is actually a slightly used piece of 220. So I'm just going to lay this down, and you can see that my adhesive might have been sitting a little too long here. And I'm using the Loctite aerosol adhesive. It's the red label, high performance. It says medium strength 200. Let me grab that can for you. It's It's this stuff. That's not what JD recommends, by the way. He recommends the 3M 61 spray adhesive. It'll say drywall corner bead on the can. You can also use rubber cement. I sort of err on the side of my adhesive being too dry because I don't like to work to have to peel it off the rubber. So as I go over this with my knife, it'll sort of stick itself down. I'm starting with a paring knife from Heidi's Kitchen, and it's a really dull paring knife. And I like to do convex edges on my kitchen cutlery. Okay guys, I did freshen that up a little bit. Now it looks like it should. So I'm just gonna reprofile this to a nice convex. Now you can see that I was making some back and forth strokes. You sort of have to have pretty good feel if you're going to start doing that because you don't want to cut your sandpaper. So let me stay away from that. Because I have cut sandpaper doing that. It's kind of frustrating when you do it. So I really like the durometer hardness of this rubber JD's using. It's definitely compliant enough to give you a nice convex edge, but at the same time, it's hard enough that you can really be precise about your apex. Still working on the first side, trying to bring up a burr for the length of the knife. And this is laid back pretty good. I'm probably at about a 13 or 14 degree angle of attack. And then I'll flip it over and bring the other side to a burr. I'm not going to bore you guys with the whole reprofile segment. I'll pick you back up when I switch over to the 600. Okay guys, I'm done on the 220, and you can see I've sort of not only brought it to a burr, but sort of refined the scratch pattern on the face of the blade too, obliterating almost my Cuisinart logo. Just a cheap set of kitchen block knives, guys. So we're going to switch over to the 600 paper now. So we're just going to peel the 220 off, stick him up on the wall, and here's the 600. As you're placing this, I'm not being too careful because of the nature of the knife I'm working on, but on your near side, you can bring that all the way to the edge of the rubber, which is cut extremely straight. So if you're working up against a 90-degree plunge line, or if your sharpening choil is sort of economically small, you can be really precise about using the edge of that rubber, which is cool. So now we're just going to use the 600, refine our edge a little bit. JD suggests using Windex on the wet dry sandpaper. I'm going to try that. I never have before. Might keep our slurry down a little bit and lubricate a little. So I'm going to start counting strokes here. I'm sort of cleaning up my shallow part of my convex here. not really getting to the apex. Okay. Now I'm going to elevate my angle a little bit, work on my apex. We just get such a nice long stroke. Getting some edge curling when that paper is wet. You just about will with any wet dry sandpaper, but not bad. See how we're doing. Pretty sweet. Just a couple more. Long and slow. Just really kind of kissing my apex with light pressure. Okay. Now we're going to refine that face of the blade. Yeah, let's try a little more Windex. Alright guys, I'm going to clean that off and come back and I'll see you at the 2000 grit paper. Okay guys, now we've got the 2000 grit paper down. I'm just going to run this one dry. It's a slightly used piece of 2000, so it should give us a nice finish. Again, I'm going to work on the more acute approach of my Convex. And I just caught the spot that was torn in that paper. Doggone it, get rid of that. Okay, now we'll pick it up and we'll start on our apex. See where we're at. Oh yeah. Pretty nice. I'm going to focus just a little bit back here on the transition just to get as much sharpened edge as I can. This has got one of those sort of lazy plunges that ends in an edge that's not sharp. So I'm just going to rock the tip of my blade up and just do a few strokes on that back edge. And do about 10 more on each side. Very light pressure. done this before I peeled potatoes. And now I'm just going to, again, work on the face of my blade. Not trying to do anything too pretty with this kitchen knife. Just trying to make it not so ugly. I don't know about you guys, but I don't like to have a bunch of different kinds of scratches going in different directions, even on my convex knives. We'll blend that in a little better when we strop. Okay, I'm going to clean the abrasive off this blade, and we'll flip the unit and we'll go to the strop. Just to give you an idea where we are after the 2000 grit paper, and you remember where we started. Got a little catch in there. I think I better stay on the paper. I got one nick I didn't quite get out, deeper than I thought. So I'm going to work on that a little bit before we strap. You don't need to see that. Okay guys, that nick was a little bit bigger than I thought it was. Sometimes when I'm making a video talking while I'm sharpening, I'm not really inspecting my work between grits as I should, but here's kind of where we are with that one catch. Driving me nuts. After 2000 grit paper. As I flip to the strop, something I want to discuss. This is sort of the standard configuration. The rubber on one side and the leather on the other, flesh side out. And I'm not going to mention pricing for the whole line, but just envision this as the standard Edgewright unit with that combination rubber and leather. As of 4 June 2017, this is $40 plus shipping. And by the way, this is 100% American components, 100% American made, and it's $40 plus shipping. Mounted on a piece of finished oak with American made rubber feet and stainless screws. So, yeah. Now, if I were a low volume sharpener, I'm sharpening my personal knives, maybe a knife for a buddy every now and then, I'd probably buy this configuration. But as you can see, I've used this for about a month, and as some of my wet sharpening, slurry has run down the side of my oak onto my leather. Now I don't think it's really made it over to the surface, but you know, as a production sharpener, I'd probably want one-sided only. Just me. I sort of get funny about abrasive from other sources getting into my strop. So, you know, if you're careful and you're doing low volume, I think it's fine, and you can just buy one unit. But you know, if I were setting up my shop all with Edgewrights, I'd want them dedicated for you know, one for sandpaper that could be switchable, obviously up through the grits, and then one for each strop. I don't have any double-sided strops in my shop just because of what I was talking about. I think they're a really bad idea, because invariably you're going to get abrasive from your more coarse strop onto your more fine strop. Even if you're putting it in a bag, well, there's both abrasives are in the bag, right? So that's just me. But for a home system, this is a great way to go. I would say though, just, you know, stick to a coarse compound. If you're going to have a finer strop, keep it separate. Okay, so we're just going black Stropping compound on flesh side of leather. Okay, so we're going to finish this blade out. First I'm going to do the edge, and then I'm going to come blend the faces. That should be pretty sharp. Now we're just gonna smear up my scratches in the blade face. No, my apex is not touching it. But we'll come back and hit it a few more times. All right. I'm going to clean that up. Grab our newspaper, our phone book paper, and see where we are. Find a good piece of blade. Come on, honey. There we go. I'm trying to stay away from that neck. There it is. Okay. So that, guys, is how the Edgewright works on a cheap Cuisinart paring knife. I'm pretty sure I could cut up a tomato with that. Of course, you know me, I'm not going to stop at black compound. But it's push cut and phone book paper on black compound. You think it'll shave? I think so. You know, not anything will shave. But it's not really about my sharpening or about this knife. This is a video about the Edgewright. And it's a really nice unit. I've sharpened a lot of Bark River Convexes on this knife in the month or so I've been using it. And the sandpaper is reusable. You sort of have to freshen the adhesive every time you use it, but I get 2 or 3 knives out of a set of grits, depending on what I'm sharpening. You know, M4 about 1 knife per set of grits, but I find that the feet give me just enough adhesion, slip resistance if everything's clean and dry. Again, I'm seriously thinking about doing some dowel mounts with holes in my counter, just because, you know, I get in a hurry and I bear down on stuff. Not that there's anything lacking in the unit, it just, for me being me, I know me. You know. So anyway, if you guys are into convex sharpening or even just stropping and you want a really nice unit and you appreciate American craftsmanship, somebody that's making these things himself one at a time and meticulously sourcing components to stay US made, check out JD, a Mojave Man on Facebook, for your Edgewright Sharpening Systems products. Great job, JD. I appreciate spending some time with this sample. Grace to you and peace, my friends, from God our Father and the Lord Jesus Christ. And remember, the Word and my cheap Cuisinart paring knife are sharp.